have been a little bit behind on my videos, but I've been working a lot. I'm working on a shooting manual I'm designing for you guys. It's a very interesting manual that I'm putting together, and my main goal is teaching you through my manual how to make perfect shots. So today I'm not going to talk about the book. Hopefully it's going to be done very soon. But today I'm going to talk about Top Shot All Stars, the first episode. I'm just going to give you an idea of what really happens in my mind, something that you cannot see. Obviously, there's so many hours and hours of filming, and obviously they can't put everything in only 45, well, perhaps 40 minutes of the show. So when they told me that we're gonna be in Top Shot All Stars, I was like, man, this is it. They didn't tell us exactly how everything were gonna work out. So when I got to the hotel and I found out that I was the only woman, I thought, wow, this is gonna be very interesting. You know how I am, I'm a petite woman, but besides that, I felt that I was gonna have a heavy weight on my shoulders. Everybody's looking at me as the only woman, so if I fail, it's like, oh, of course, she's a woman, she's gonna fail first. So there's a lot of pressure on me at this point, not only as a shooter, but as a competitor, but also as a woman. And I really like to show the ladies that regardless, this sport can be done by anyone, women, men, because at the end what it matters is your mindset and how you perform your shots. Practice and experience definitely plays a big role into it, but when I saw that, I said, well, you know what, definitely have to do my best. So the day of the challenge, we're walking to the challenge, and I start seeing everything, the ropes, and I saw the obstacles, and I was like, oh my god, this is not gonna be easy. I've never done any obstacle course. I'm not in the military, I'm not in law enforcement, so I thought, wow, they must be a little bit difficult. That's what I thought. So I really had a lot of encouragement from William Tharts, Kyle, my season 4 guys, Greg, Chi. They said, Gabby, don't worry about the rope. I was worried about the rope. The first thing I was like, I want to be able to reach it. You might laugh, but you know what? For me, that's a concern, and I had in my mind, not even the firearms. I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to do the obstacle course correctly. So I did the rope, and that's why my shooting was not bad at all. It was the time it took me to cross the rope. And I remember Kyle was telling me I could scream, I could hear him, because on top of that, I forgot my ear protection. Don't do that. That's very bad for your ears. But I got into the mode of the competition, and when Colby said go, I just went. And I forgot to put my earplugs. Anyway, I could hear Kyle Sumter saying, Gabby, keep going, you're almost there. I'm like, oh my god, where this thing is gonna end. I mean, you could see a rope from here, from the start to the end, from the outside, and when you are there, and if you don't have technique, which I didn't have technique, it really takes time. Anyway, I passed through that, and then we had the rifle sitting. That was good. Then I have to shoot the 308, the AR-15. And when I grabbed the rifle, the first thing I did was crank the scope, put it to the minimum, because it was too much magnification. I want to put it down. And I grabbed the rifle, and I realized that the target was higher. They were, uphill. And we could not shoot in any other position than standing. So their rifle, they put in the rifle a bike. It was not light, it was very heavy. That rifle itself was heavy. So I'm like, grabbing the rifle right away. I don't have time to think too much. That's the thing. You don't get to practice this if you haven't done it before, or if you don't have any experience with scopes and stuff like that, that'll be a challenge that can get you. So I saw the target was uphill, so I had to put the magazine on here and putting my elbow to my hip in order to keep more, so it gives me more stability. And man, my heart's pumping, everything is just, I'm so going through everything, and I made my shot. So then, I crawl down, get out of there, crawl down through, and you have all the explosions. So it's a lot of things. You are afraid. I mean, I was kind of afraid of everything because you feel the flames and you feel everything pumping out of you. And I got into the platform with the fall, the 308. My goodness, talk about something difficult. It was so weird. It was definitely not designed for a shooter. It was definitely designed for make it difficult for the shooter. And well, that's a competition, and everybody was in the same conditions. And I got there, and the thing is that rifle was heavy in the nose, but because the platform, it was just like that, so you have to keep your feet exactly like this. Not like a regular rifle that you can lean forward. If you lean forward, you'll fall. So you kind of had to compensate a little bit back, compensate the weight of the rifle and your own weight and the movement of the platform. And that's why most of us almost fail. And another thing is that not only you're moving, you are dealing with that position, which is terrible to shoot a 308 standing. And I've never shot, well, once I've shot a fall before, but I'm not really familiar with that rifle. And in the motions, I'm coming with 3 different firearms, 3 different type of aiming inside pictures per se. And I pick up the rifle, and the rear side, you could see it's like a huge, like a ghost ring like this. And the front side is just a tiny little thing. I'm aiming, and I'm like, where do I put this thing? So obviously, as a shooter, you say, well, in the middle of your rear side, but it was so big, the rear side, I was not sure I was gonna be able to hit it. Obviously I did, but is that one of those things that you have to think quick, you have to think fast? If you overthink something in this competition, you're gone. I was like, when Kobe told me, no, you did 2 minutes and 44 seconds, like, yes. And, I know I still went to the proving ground, but you know what, I was not the last one. I deal with the challenges of the course of fire, but that didn't determine me as a shooter. For me, it's more important how well I can shoot those targets, rather than kind of run fast to get to my firearm. You see, that's just me as a shooter. So going to proving ground, especially when you don't know what's going to happen, because this was pretty much all new for us. We have been competing in Top Shot, but we were in teams. So having teams and doing it in this format is different. You have your pros and your cons. But one of the cons that you see in here is that you're not the last 2. You could be, number 8, and still you're eligible for elimination, and yet perhaps the last 2, they might not go to elimination. So it's kind of, you are like, wow, I might live today. I didn't want to go home. No way. With the first woman, and we got to the proving ground, and we had to, this is a competition, everything is fair. And most people ask me how you were picked as the first one. Well, the producers give us like a small bucket, and we pick our numbers. This is a legitimate competition, so I picked a number, and I picked number 1, so I'm number 1 to go out. And man, I don't remember much because this was filmed when Colby said about in August, but the only thing I can remember about that revolver is that those sights were so small, like so small. I don't even know how I made that shot. I just said, you know what, just stand there and do the best you can. Was I nervous? Oh, for sure I was. There's nothing I can explain how nervous I am, even though people said I looked super cold and super focused and all that. And I think that's something that just came out of me without even me noticing. I used to compete in Olympic shooting, and you really have to have a very strong mind. And your mind is not necessarily about what you think you can do, but more about trusting that you can do it, even if it doesn't happen. That's the key. But when I made that shot, and I actually had to watch again that episode, because when I made that shot, people told me, "Oh my God, you made that great shot, and you came back like serious." And you know what I was thinking? What happened in my head? And I was not happy with that shot. As a shooter, you want to make it in the very, very end. So I managed to have a very good shot. Brian Sims, he did pretty much in the center. Then William Bethard with 1.0, and then me with what was the third best shot with 1.1. So putting myself there with William, with shooters like Brian Sims, and being right next to them, it's quite an achievement. Not necessarily as a woman, but as a shooter. Because I am like that. I like to be seen as a shooter, as a competitor. So far this, not going to elimination, that made my day. It sure did. It actually kind of put down a little bit of my concerns about the challenge. I actually thought it was going to be, I wouldn't say it was not difficult, because it really was, but I thought perhaps I could have done worse because of the difficulty of the challenge. But you know what? Sometimes you have to put that aside and just go forward and forget about the world and everybody else, and just do what you need to do. And that's exactly what I did. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate on, asking me. You can send me messages on YouTube or Facebook, on my website www.gabbyfranco.com, and I'll answer most of the questions. And I'm gonna try to keep posting videos. So I'm gonna post another video for the second episode. Okay, stay tuned, and thank you for watching.